Now I will be introducing the panel speakers in the alphabetical order of the faith. B for Bahá'í, so Farid Delshad, or known as Fred. He's part of the local spiritual assembly of Baha'is of Wagga Wagga. Fred was born in Jordan from a Persian Iranian ancestry. Educated in Jordan, Farid migrated with his family to Ethiopia, but continued to England for education. He lived and worked in the UK for 13 years before migrating to Australia. After a short stay in Sydney, Fred moved to Wagga, and that's how he's known as Friendly Fred. Fred moved to Wagga, lived and worked in financial planning for 13 years. He then moved to Tasmania, Queensland, Sydney, and Western Australia. In 2008, Fred moved to China to teach English for about 14 years before returning to New South Wales and resettling in Wagga Wagga. Fred is 5th generation Baha'i and was in the first local spiritual assembly to form in Wagga Wagga in March 1983. A warm welcome to Fred. Thank you, Fred. B for Buddhist group, Potawa Buddhist group. Geshe Tenzin Zopa is a Tibetan monk, Tibetan Buddhist monk of the Mahayana tradition. He is known by the title Geshe or Geshe, which is Tibetan for Professor of Buddhist Philosophy. He entered Seraja University in 1990 to undertake extensive studies in the Tibetan Buddhist philosophy and graduated as Geshe in 2007. Geshe Zopa received a full ordination from His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. Geshe Zopa is a principal and focal point of award-winning documentary film titled Unmistaken Child, which chronicles the search for the reincarnation of his master, Geshe Lama Koncho. He has frequently taken part as a speaker at many interfaith and peace dialogues and conferences for many years. In 2019, Geshe Tenzin Zopa was awarded the prestigious Global Peace, Leadership and Excellence Award in Mumbai, India. Currently, Geshe Zopa is touring Australia, providing teaching. Currently, Geshe Zopa is touring Australia, providing teachings and trainings to various Buddhist centers and groups located all over Australia, including Potawa Buddhist group based here in Wagga Wagga. A warm welcome to Geshe. Thank you. Our next speaker is C for Christianity, Stina Constantine from the Catholic Diocese of Wagga Wagga. Stina is the founder and managing director of Virtue Ministry and an individual and couples counselor with a passion for relationships and healing work. Stina uses her experience to guide and walk with people in their vulnerability and story to find clarity on their Christian mission. Combining her professional and ministry experience with her own ongoing spiritual journey, Stina brings the best of all three spheres to curate and present talks and workshops on human formation in the virtues. The Virtue Ministry provides talks, workshops, and a weekly podcast to help adult Christians in the cultivation of the virtues and has a particular focus on seminary human formation. Welcome, Stina. Q is for Quakers. Our next speaker for Quakers is Michael Bayles, the Religion Society of Friends, Wagga meeting. Michael was born in Tasmania in 1949, the eldest of 5 children. His parents were Anglican, and when Michael was 24 years old, he did a postgraduate diploma in food technology at University of New South Wales. And while he was there, he went for his first Quaker meeting at Devonshire Street near Central Station. He knew he had found his spiritual home. And about 10 years later, Michael became a Quaker. Michael moved to Leeton in 1987 and started attending Wagga Wagga Quakers, which at that stage met at the Juvenile Justice Centre in Turvey Park. Meetings were once a month on the 3rd Sundays, and that is still the case today. Wagga Wagga Quakers currently meet on the 3rd Sunday and the drop-in centre in Johnston Street. All are welcome. Michael moved to Wagga Wagga in 1990 and has a deep concern for social justice and non-violence. And Michael believes that there is that of God in every person, a core belief of Quakers. He has 2 children and 4 beautiful grandchildren. Welcome to the conference, Michael. Thank you. S is for Sikhism. So our next speaker for Sikhism is Manjinder Singh from the Wagga Sikh community. Manjinder Singh was born in the town of Amritsar in northern India, a place renowned for the Golden Temple, which holds significant importance in Sikhism. 16 years ago, Manjinder moved to Australia as a student and later became an Australian citizen. In 2019, Manjinder relocated to Wagga Wagga, which he now proudly calls home. He has 2 young children. A proud Sikh, Manjinder wears his turban with pride and draws inspiration from his great gurus. He is actively involved in community service whenever he finds the time, having volunteered with various organizations, both in Australia and back in India. Manjinder is a regular visitor to the Australian Red Cross. Manjinder believes in hard work and has consistently demonstrated this ethic since moving to Australia. His religion has had a significant impact in his life, guiding his values and actions. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our panel of speakers. I realized that. After A comes B, comes C, and then comes I before Q. So yes, they're all in alphabetical order, but just my pages didn't turn, or maybe I was, yeah. So now I'm in H for Hindu. So we'll go back and forth. We're just practicing our ABCs, right? Great. So our next speaker for Hindu is Manoj Dundigalla from Sai Wagga Wagga. So Manoj Dundigalla is a dedicated family person and practicing Hindu. He moved to Australia in 2004 and traveled around Southeast Australia and settled in Wagga Wagga in 2010 with his wife and 2 children. He has been actively involved in various community activities and is sharing his experience in organizing various events related to spirituality or bringing his community together. Manoj is an electrical engineer working with Essential Energy. Please give a warm welcome to our Hindu speaker. After H comes I. My apologies once again. I need to go learn my ABCs. Great. After H comes I. Our speaker for Islam is Aayan Bashar from Comigan. Aayan is our youngest, and also Aayan is 20-year-old medical student at the University of New South Wales campus in Wagga Wagga. Having lived in Wagga Wagga for the past 10 years, Aayan is a Muslim originally of Bangladeshi background. His journey in this religion town includes 7 years of schooling, 3 years of university, during which he has actively engaged with the local community through sports, volunteering, and various other community events. These experiences have allowed Aayan to build meaningful connection with people from diverse backgrounds, where he came to learn more about and respect the many faiths that exist in Wagga Wagga. A big round of applause and warm welcome to Aayan. So in the correct alphabetical order, just checking I know my ABCs. B for Baha'i speaker, we've got Fred, we've got the Buddhist speaker, Geshe, we've got Stina for Christianity, we've got Monti, who's our moderator, we've got H for Hinduism, Manoj, and we've got I for Islam, Aayan, and we've got Michael for Q for Quakers, and S is for Sikhism, Manjinder. So a warm welcome to all the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the panel of speakers. Esteban, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I just, before starting, I want to, invite all of you to participate. If you have a question, please, you can pay is with a microphone, and you can just, she's going to come to you and you can participate. We are all together here, okay? This is, imagine we are in a circle, all together sharing this time. All right, thank you. Okay, we can start with the first question. This is about how the different faiths I understand compassion. And it's like, how does your faith define compassion, and how is it practiced in daily life? And then I just need a brave one, which one of you want to start with this defining compassion? I don't know, maybe Freddie?
I like to start this meeting with a prayer, which includes the word compassion. O thou compassionate Lord, thou who art generous and able, we are servants of thine, sheltered beneath thy providence. Cast thy glance of favor upon us. Give light to our eyes, hearing to our ears, and understanding and love to our hearts. Render our souls joyous and happy through thy glad tidings. O Lord, point out to us the pathway of thy kingdom, and resuscitate all of us through the breaths of the Holy Spirit. Bestow upon us life everlasting, and confer upon us never-ending honor. Unify mankind and illumine the world of humanity. May we all follow thy pathway, long for thy good pleasure, and seek the mysteries of thy kingdom. O God, unite us and connect our hearts with thy indissoluble bond. Verily, thou art the giver, thou art the kind one, and thou art the Almighty. Abdul Baha. This prayer mentions the word compassionate as one of the attributes of God. And as Baha'is, we believe we have been created in the image of God, and we have been singled out of all creation on this planet anyway, to reflect the attributes of God. And compassion is one of them. Compassion is defined as sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. The victims should be treated with compassion. This is just one way of looking at compassion. So in our faith, which doesn't have traditions, we have revelation, which is very carefully guarded so that no human interpretation goes into it. We, as I said, try to acquire those attributes of God at human level, and compassion is one of them. We are discouraged from apathy and from conflict and estrangement. In our daily lives, which are supposed to be focused on the concept of service to humanity, we try to reach out to everybody, of course, in our community first, but throughout the world without any limitation whatsoever of color, race, religion, or any other human quality. Of course, practicing compassion is very different from speaking about it. So speaking about it is easy, practicing it is harder. And I am trying to practice compassion in my daily lives. So I, for example, started doing voluntary work in our city of Wagga, teaching English, which is a subject I taught in China for 14 years. And I wanted to work part-time. Unfortunately, there was no part-time work available. So I do voluntary work. It is really helping the migrant community in Wagga, the refugees and others who came to live in Wagga, to fully participate in the democracy of our country, of which I'm really proud as an Australian. And for us to practice compassion, we need to really focus on other people and not just think about ourselves, our families, important as they may be. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. What do you want to follow and maybe express your understanding or share with us the understanding of compassion?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for that.
You.
And I would like to once again say thank you to Potua Buddhist group for organizing this event and inviting us to join, and everyone here as well, all the audience members here today. Yeah, so, oh, it's not working. A bit closer. All right. Oh yeah, that sounds a lot better. Yeah, so in terms of compassion in Islam, I would like to first preface on the main practice of Islam and how we practice it, right? So there's two components to it. Firstly, the faith, part of our faith is how we pray to God, and yeah, so how we pray to God. And then the second component is a code of life, how we interact with other people, what we do in our life, and what we contribute to the community. That's a huge component of it, which is often not discussed as part of a discussion for Islam. And as part of that, compassion plays a huge role for it. For example, one of the names for God in our God Almighty in our religion is the most compassionate. And as Muslims, and also as human beings, we know that we do a lot of things that are not good and can be considered as sins, right? So if we expect the most compassion to us as part of Islam, it's our responsibility to show compassion to the creation of God. And it's by following the teachings of the Quran and also Prophet, peace be upon him, we aim to show compassion to all the creation of God, whether it be Muslims, non-Muslims, animals, non-living things, everyone, right? So that's the biggest I guess, thing about compassion in our faith. I guess I'll give a small example of how we practice compassion in Islam. And that is through one of the pillars of our religion, which involves charity. So how that works is after a Muslim crosses a certain threshold of wealth, we are obligated to contribute 2.5% of our wealth to charity, right? So that's the bare minimum that we have to do after we cross that threshold of wealth. And you can imagine 2.5% can be a significant amount as you go up the wealth ladder. And honestly, it can have a profound impact. If Jeff Bezos, as a, I don't know, 300, 400 billion dollar net worth person, contributed 10%, I mean, 2.5% of his wealth, that's 10 billion right there, you know? It can have a profound impact if everyone did it. And even as Muslims, it's just Muslims did it appropriately and practice it. And a lot of Muslims do. And that's the reason why we have been, you know, that's the way we try to uphold compassion in our life, one of the ways. Yeah, so that's a small example I wanted to give. And yeah, thanks for passing the mic to me.
Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. And reinforce the importance of practicing. What I think you mentioned, the difference between like feeling empathy and compassion is empathy in action. So thank you so much. And anyone else, Geshe?
Yeah, first of all, hello to everyone, and deep respect to each and every one of you, and also deep appreciation to Pe and Chu and her team from the Potowa Center in Wagga Wagga, who able to create this platform where all the different faith groups can come together and share the common ground. So I deeply appreciate. So the theme of this conference, compassion. In Buddhist perspective, the definition of compassion understood as the not wanting suffering and destructions to any existence, no question about a human being, and also to all the rest of the creatures, and beyond that, even the planet. And the way of expressing compassion very much through the tools of ethics, responsibility, kindness, generosity, patience, forgiveness, wisdom. So all these are different tools to express compassion, to the world. And compassion can be developed from small to the great, expressing this heart of not wanting suffering or inconvenience, for yourself, and then to your loved ones, then to the strangers, then to the enemy, then to the whole humanity. And that compassion can even become immeasurable compassion that expresses to rest of the other living beings, the entire animals, how tiny it can be, even the tiniest bacteria. And not only that, the place where we live, the environment, concerning the well-being of the environment, and abstaining from, committing destructions to the environment, and offering service to the preservations of the freedom of living beings, the freedom of nature, preserving that organic nature of the both the sentient being as well as the living things. And that compassion even can grow, we regard as the omniscient compassion, which eventually even effectively and directly able to engage in elevating the sufferings and distractions of the world. And also in Buddhist teaching, understood that the innate nature of every living being is in fact is compassionate nature, not a destructive nature. We even understand that the innate being of every living being is no different than the Buddha's own potential. So all the destructive emotions and harms that we human being, especially human being, expresses is mainly a temporal distraction, and that can completely overcome. And the antidote to that is the most effective antidote is the compassion. Compassion is the way to retrieve the innate pure origin of our own innate being, the compassionate one. And also, it is the only way to fully awaken, to have the boundless compassion. And as a Buddhist, I can talk about the organization where I belong to, the monastery where I belong to, and my teachers who are my inspiration, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who dedicate entirety of his existence in the service of sentient being, inspiring with beneficial wisdoms, altruistic attitudes, and always himself present to be a positive energy, positive inspiration, and unity of different culture, different faith. One of his very important pillar of his contribution to the world is bringing the unity of all the different faiths. So there's a lot of conference that led by him, and that go even beyond the unity between religious practitioners and the science. And he regard the entire humanity is one big human family, one family, and everybody carries the same nature of wanting only happiness, not wanting even the slightest form of suffering. So that also is one of the main reasons why everybody has capability and needs and necessity to live in a compassionate way and express compassion to each other. And the organization that led by my root guru, Lama Sopa Rinpoche, where the Potowa study group also belonged to, as an example, the practice of compassion, in our the spiritual journey is initiate building such as like schools. Just in my monastery, girls and boys all together, there's about 1,000 over students, and most of the students are from some are refugees, some are from a very poor families. Like myself, when I first came to monastery, I came empty-handed. A little, the education that I have because of the compassionate practice of my guru. And like me, there are many orphans, very poor families. So, and also active creating clinics helping hands, medical camps, and whenever there's natural disasters in the boundary of where we're able to reach, we very much try to be there as fast as possible to relieve the inconvenience and sufferings of others. In our organization, we also have many hospices and many centers where taught the value of compassion and also supported a huge thousand of members of communities in offering food and free educations. So these are main practice of expressing, a gesture of compassion. Something like that. Sorry for
No,
saying a bit more.
no, you don't need to apologize. We are in a compassionate conference. We cannot, that's
Yeah.
okay. But thank you so much
Thank you.
for sharing and the and I can see how we have different channels, different ways to work with compassion. Thank you. And I'm not sure.
Yeah, hello to everyone. Good to see all our Wagga people interested to be here for this multi-faith, and thanks for the organizers. As a part of Hinduism, maybe I'll give a bit of a introduction about Hinduism to start, and then I'll come back to the compassion part. So with Hinduism, there's a Hinduism is a religion we have come up with, but initially it is called Sanatana Dharmam. Sanatana Dharma means the practices you are doing from the past. That's what the meaning of Sanatana Dharma is. So it was a practice. It wasn't a religion at all to start with, Hinduism. So the practice was to have to embed things in your day-to-day life in such a way that you accommodate sustainability of the nature with the people and be helpful to each other. And as a humankind, we have been blessed with so much of intelligence compared to rest of the creatures. So take that as an opportunity to care about the others who not able to care. That was the dharma was being preached by Hinduism, and later on it's been given a religion a name as Hinduism for the modern way of conversation. So that is a part of my introduction to Hinduism, instead of going deep into it. And coming to the compassionate part, we heard about Bhagavad Gita. Every religion has their own Bible. It's with Hinduism, it's Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita meaning is the words told directly by God. So that's the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. In that, when God was preaching to his disciple, he's given him a vision to see the entireness of the God. So the entireness of the God is that whole universe is within him. That means we are part of him. So that's why in Sanskrit, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. That means we be peace with everyone and all the world be peace with them. So that means we acknowledging the God. Just like when we start any event here, we acknowledge the land we are in. So that is the basic practice we need to, we've been told to follow. And in Hinduism, you hear about, there is about 3.6 million gods. So they haven't come up just like that. So they have come up with different gods is because God is not a particular person. You can look in each and everyone and everywhere. That is the part of it. And coming to the compassion part, everyone are asked to read about Ramayana. So there was a sage called Narada and Valmiki. So this Narada is from the heaven and the sage is from the earth. His name is Valmiki, and he gets at thinking that in this current human world, that means in the earth, is there a person with all the 16 qualities, so that I can use that as an example to follow the dharma which Hinduism is preaching. So out of which is the compassion. So there was one king by name called Lord Rama. He is a human being. He's born as a human being, but since of his compassion, his due diligence with his qualities, he's been called as Lord Rama. And we take that him as a reference. And Lord Rama's compassion is in such a way that, as everyone mentioned, he not only preaches, he practices it. So in a situation where his wife has been taken out from him and taken very far from North India to Sri Lanka. So during that time, there is no this navigation process or videos to find out. So he waked all the way down. He found his wife. He brings his wife, but he has to kill that king in Lanka. And then once he kills that king, he's compassionate. To give an example of compassionate, he prays for his peace. Even though he's done a mistake, he was not agreeing to leave his wife until he's died. But at the end of the day, we are all one. Maybe he has done a mistake, but he has a good things about him. So let his soul be in peace. So compassionate from my word is to take care of each other, as we say here, looking after each other. So thank you.
Thank you so much. How important is to practice, and that is something that we can see in each tradition. Thank you so much. It's something to maybe we can explore later. In which ways can we do this all together? And Michael, yes, please.
Thank you, Pao, thank you for organising today, and thank you for everybody coming out to see it. With Quakers, the compassion, it was summed up beautifully by Amir Dallas, the definition of compassion. And your example, I really liked it. You know, it's a feeling that arises when you're confronted with another's suffering and you actually feel motivated to do something about it. It literally means to suffer together. As far as Quakers are concerned, they've been, the fundamental belief in Quakers is that there's that of God within every person, and you're to that part of God. So within everyone. So naturally, we feel quite compassionate, and we're active in international movements such as the campaign against arms trade and nuclear weapons. This often involves working alongside other organisations such as Amnesty International and organisations like the Independent and Peaceful Australian Network to bring about peace within the world. The Quaker compassion for other societies and cultures has led to them to be active in relief work in many parts of the world. The fundamental belief that of God within every person means that Quakers seek to bring together by listening to all with compassion. So listening to people, because every person has their own story. The Quaker Service Australia organisation works with communities in Southeast Asia.
You're so hairy and clary.
Parent communities take control of their own destinies. QSA projects always involve local workers and leaders rather than outsiders. Quakers throughout history have taken a special interest in the well-being of Indigenous communities affected by colonisation. In the 1830s, two British Quakers from London Yearly Meeting. They came out to Australia under concern from London Yearly Meeting to inquire about the treatment of convicts and the treatment of Indigenous people. And they produced a report for the government, and that report is actually credited with helping to create the Treaty of Waitinga in New Zealand. So these are examples, practical examples of what Quakers have done over time in areas of compassion. And because our numbers are sort of fairly small, we really have to work with other organisations and other people, and we're sort of very much behind the scenes. And the National Council of Churches is a group which we're sort of actively involved with in bringing about a lot of changes and, you know, sort of bringing people together and listening to their stories. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's so beautiful to see how active is your faith group, and I hope, you know, everyone can support, you know, your organizations. Amazing. Thank you so much. And how do you feel about following? Yes, that's okay.
Sure, no worries. Thank you so much, firstly, for the Potowa group for inviting me to come along. Really appreciate it, and for putting together such an event as well. I guess in terms of Christianity, there is a little bit similar to what Aayan was saying. We sort of have two parts to compassion. First, it starts with God. So we first acknowledge that compassion really comes from God. That's where we get the example of compassion, and that's why we have it on our hearts. So for Christians, it's really a case of recognizing that we were first created by a creator, which means that we are indebted to someone higher than, a being much greater than we are, because we weren't able to create ourselves. So there's already an automatic sense of gratitude that comes from that, and that's where worship then comes from. So coming from there, we then look at, well, what happens to humanity? Humanity makes a choice of choosing to reject God, and being that we rejected the infinite, the only way that could be repaired was for the infinite to come in and become part of humanity to repair that. So that is the first act of compassion that we see then from God himself, is to take on human flesh, that then becoming Jesus Christ, who is the example that we follow in Christianity of what compassion looks like. For us, compassion means to suffer with. So it is more than that feeling, a bit like what you were saying, Dallas. It is more than that feeling that we have. That feeling is great and good, but it is more than that. We're meant to be right next to you. We're meant to be right in it, in the suffering, with the person who's suffering, and then to journey with that. So then from there, going more into the Catholic faith from here, for me, this is where we then get our both our social teachings, but also what we call corporal and spiritual works of mercy, which the corporal and spiritual works come directly from Scripture. So they outline various ways that we are expected as Christians, if we truly have compassion, to act from an overflow from that love that we have of God, being in those physical ways that we care for each other. So whether that be feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, visiting the sick, and so on, being the corporal bodily works of mercy. And then we also have spiritual works of mercy as well, being counseling the doubtful, even, you know, sitting with the mourning and so on, instructing those who aren't aware of the faith and so on. They fall within the spiritual works of mercy. And then to guide those, we have principles a bit further again, which comes from the social teachings of the church. So they give us clear guidelines on how do we sort of take that even further. What are the other expressions that we can find, particularly as generations move and times change? How do we adapt to continue to show compassion in different ways? And so those principles then help us to make sure that we do first honor God, but also in that overflow, how do we maintain dignity of each other? And so we've got various principles that come from that. In terms of examples of what that could look like, I think most people would be familiar with them, particularly in Wagga. We have a number of different organizations and groups within Christianity, including St. Vincent de Paul, obviously is a big one across the world that we've seen. Caritas is another one that a lot of people are involved in, including people in my own church. They will go over to various countries on mission trips, immersion trips, to be able to understand really what's going on in other places, and how do we journey with people in suffering in those very places. But then we're also closer to home in the, in our very own city. We also have beautiful churches who open up their doors, making sure there's morning tea, there's bread, there's food available for people to come through. Caravan is another beautiful example. Another, I think there's a school within our diocese that students actually cooked for Caravan to ensure people in the community were fed. So those are just a few examples of what an act of compassion might look like within Christianity.
Thank you so much, Stina. And I actually, I'm working at the Mater Hospital, and it's a Catholic organization. It's unbelievable the amount of service that the Catholic organizations provide in Australia. Thank you so much. Yes, and now we're going to finish this round with, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's my first appearance as a speaker, so I won't take it long. I'm a proud Sikh, so maybe many of you guys know that there's 1.2 billion people in India, so we are only 2% of them. But there's a lot of people living in overseas, like many people live here in Australia, then in Canada, America, England. There's many of them there. So I born a town called Amritsar, which is like only 60 km away from the Indian and Pakistan border, which was very turbulent before. So where we are now, we are just same like a farmland as a Wagga, like a riverina. So in ancient time, when there was someone attack on India, like Mughal or like someone from other country, so they have to come through, like there was a passage where we are now. So there's a, like I mentioned, the Golden Temple. So there's like a daily about 250,000 people come there. So we provide like a free food to each of them, which we doing here as well. There's a lot of temples around in big cities like Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, Adelaide. So being a compassion in my daily practice, that's what we taught, that if you see someone suffering, like, go and ask them. And I give you a local example, like when the bushfire happened in here in 2019. So there's a big community in Griffith. So there's about 200 families there. So they have like a big temple there. So we collect about $50,000, and we went to Tamaramba, which is 120 km from here. So we provide them a big semi of like a water, whatever they need. So, and then being as a Sikh, we taught that do not harm anyone. Like, there's always, like I say, people say 5 fingers not same. There's always like a bad person in one community ruin the name of the community. But what I've been taught that, if you see someone suffering, go and ask them, ask the help. Even in India, there's a lot of us doing a lot of NGO type of organization who provide help to the needies, like in natural disasters, or even like, even in the COVID time. And we the first one to reach there, ask them to, if they need anything regarding food or any like medical assistance. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the services you are providing in the community. And okay, and now we can, anyone have any questions? Anyone want to explore something about the different perception or interpretations of compassion? Yes, please.
Loud enough without it, that's fine.
Yeah, it's
Okay. I wondered at what point, what was it, compassion, that it's a form of pity, or that you have some sort of elevated position over that other person. That was one thought I had. And because I suppose, and to show kindness and compassion, there's different ways to do that. And it might not be reciprocated, and they may not really want that either. So, you know, you're forcing that on somebody that potentially they don't want that energy or whatever you're portraying. So there's a respect. You should have respect for this person that first before you provide compassion, I think. And that's.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, because acknowledging one's own faith, like, is important, and also respecting one another's feelings are important for being compassionate. So we have, if you are not compassionate, following religion is just waste, because God is the one who decides. We might pretend openly that we are compassionate, but inner God knows what we are. So always due respect and thinking about others as you are is the way forward, I think. Yeah, thank you.
I think also, if I may say that, don't take the old lady across the road if she doesn't want to cross the road. Have respect for her desire. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that as well. You made a very good point there, where oftentimes people tend to show, I guess, donate or whatever they do. They may have a sense of superiority or make a show of it, you know. And in Islam, we have a I guess, understanding of things where we recognize that whatever we have or whatever we have achieved is all from God, and God in the end is the owner of it all, right? So whatever wealth we've been given, we've been blessed by it. We don't claim it as like, this is what we have done. This is our work. This is all us. This is all for God. God has blessed me. So if someone is suffering, we have to give it to them, because he is God's creation as well as me, and they haven't been blessed in the same way as me, and it's my responsibility to provide them with that. So I guess from that, yeah, I wanted to talk about that in that sense, that we are supposed to get rid of the fact whenever we provide people with charity or help that we have not done it because we're superior to them or we have more, or whatever. It's because, you know, it's our responsibility given by God.
One thing. So, for example, if I wake up in the morning, I should say thanks to God. Like, you know, I can breathe. I have my leg, you know, is working. I have a hand, you know. Many people doesn't have. Many people dying. It doesn't wake up in the morning, and many people doesn't have a hand. They can't even walk. So it's not like showing that we are doing. End of the day, your action speaks. Whatever you do, the God knows everything. So it's don't be like pretend to be like, you know, we're doing this, blah blah blah. End of the day, He knows everything. Whatever we do. Thank you.
In relation to brother here, what you said, in Buddhist principle, when you want to provide help, you have to provide according with different mental dispositions, need dispositions, situation different dispositions. You cannot just present what you think is best. You also need to have reception from the receiver side. Even teaching the Dharma, we only can teach when there's a request. So it's not like my teaching is the best, so I must present to you, or you have to listen to the teaching like that. So yeah, I totally agree what you said, which sometimes as long as you are compassionate, then everything should work it out with what you think is best. I think this is not always the case. So always need to have a wisdom, when we deliver compassion. So with compassion without wisdom, the effectiveness of the act of compassion may not able to deliver fully. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the important thing about compassion is you're suffering together, and so you're actually getting down to that actual level. So you're actually getting down to that level. So you're actually suffering with the person that's suffering. And if you give some money to charity for a particular organisation, you can go from a level of pity or something like that. And that's where you're at. It's not, and your donation or whatever it is would be really welcome and would really do some good. But it's not, that is actually not compassion in itself, because you aren't actually there with the person. And with what we do as Quakers, because we believe there's that of God within every person, we feel that compassion, and so we do what we can to sort of really help. So it's getting from that level, and that's that's the way that I like the way that Dallas explained what compassion was, and used that example of the bushfires, of the people who actually really felt the same degree of suffering of the people that were affected by the bushfires, and that supermarket starting, etc., etc., etc. And that wonderful word our friend was talking about in Griffith, with the Sikh community in Griffith. That's true what compassion is.
I guess in terms of Christianity, then coming back to the suffering with and going from what you were just saying, Michael, it's a similar kind of concept for us. Our first port of call isn't to jump in and do something about the suffering. It's actually go and join with the suffering person to accompany in that suffering. And it's also very humbling to be able to be in that position, because you first acknowledge, I don't actually know what to do. I'm just here. I see your pain and I want to sit in the pain with you. I don't know what else to do right now. I've experienced that myself, sitting with others, and I've felt that from others when they've tried to sit with me as I've grieved as well. So it's not always about coming up with the solution. But then if it does come to light that there is something that I have that I could provide for that person, well, that's where stewardship comes in. So that's where we would recognize that anything that I've been given, much like Aayan was saying, anything that I've been given has been given to me by God. And what I have, I use, but it also means that use also means if there's someone else who needs it, perhaps it was given to me to be a steward of, to give to somebody else. So it wasn't actually for me at all. I was just the person that was meant to be in the middle to pass it on to someone else. So having that disposition of heart, I think automatically shifts the power that comes. Can it be felt though by the other person as if we're taking pity on them? Of course, because we're imperfect human beings and we don't always get it right. But I think if we can start with that intention, we're in the right track. And I think that's what Christ teaches us to do.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thank you. It's very, very important to show respect and to empower people that is receiving that compassionate service. In fact, at the hospital, one of the things that we do is to empower them. We try to never finish the puzzle. We are there working together, always asking them how can we support them, and we are just working together. Thank you. And a very beautiful question. Yes, please.
Yes, the mic's working now.
Okay, I wanted to say that God is created us and He's all compassionate, and definitely He created us with the compassionate. And this is everybody else God, but we have to put them in the action. That is only comes with the action. because we all God, we have to bring them out. Like a child, we tell them they got every good things in the children, but you have to pull them out. You have to, because that is why, like us, everybody else, doesn't matter which religion you are, all human beings, we all got compassion, but just bring them out is a big thing to do by action. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we can use, yes.
There's one more question here
yes,
from the
please.
audience.
Thank you, Pierre. Thank me. This is such a wonderful session, and now I'm repenting why I haven't attended the earlier ones. And it's so wonderful to see my friends sitting on the podium. Now I have a question, or maybe a thought, because I know nowadays, we're talking about compassion and all. Do you think it's a high time that we need to work on our own soft skills? Because and also understand our various cultures, traditions, because I think sometimes the compassion is taken in a very different way in different cultural aspects. So I think it's always important to upskill our own knowledge about the cultural competence, and all the different cultural sensitivities around different cultures. Yeah, just a thought from you guys.
Sorry, can I just ask you to expand a little bit more by what you mean by different cultural sensitivities or different expressions of compassion?
Sure. So by soft skills, the soft skills, the way we communicate with the entire populations, especially in different languages, but also with the cultural sensitivities, because there is a chance that I might not take it in a very positive sense, if you're sharing your kindness or compassion with me. So, it's all about the different aspect or how the other party, perceives your message.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Maybe like Hinduism has taught us to be more generalized, like generalized in sense you have to see your inner self first. So that itself reflects what you can give it back to people. So coming to the soft skills we need to have, that only comes up as we impart within our day-to-day activities with all our family members. So it doesn't come just reading the book, definitely not. So engage with people across all the religions. That is what we are missing, and we should not be misled by people. We have to go back to the main scriptures which are right, and we should not follow anything on WhatsApp or YouTube. Go to the right sources and be to the fact that what is does it make sense? Is it a common sense approach? That is the main thing we need to think about it when you're thinking about compassion. And you should not be like, that's what we said. So our aim of getting a human life according to Hinduism is you get the human life after 8.4 million species you go through. So this is a precious life, and you look inwards so that you progress your soul and go close to the God and reach the God's feet or his holy feet. That should be the aim of the purpose. So when you are modeling yourself inner, that definitely that aura comes out positive. That's from my take here. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Saba. I guess in terms of soft skills, yes. And in terms of being culturally mindful and sensitive, yes. Is it high time we enter into that space? I think that's a no-brainer question. I think in terms of engagement, we do need to. This is part and parcel of the conversation of our culture at this time. So if we want to have opportunity in future for our faiths to be expressed, we need to be engaging. So if that means we have to learn some new soft skills, we have to change some of our language sometimes to make ourselves more receptive to other people, yes. But I always put a limit to it. There's a limit insofar as if there is language change, if there is skills change where we start to represent something that is actually not our faith, I think we're doing that person a disservice. So coming back to Christianity and its roots of compassion, if it's truly first and foremost meant to be a reflection of God, I can't say and do something that's going to be in opposition to that, because I'm actually not being compassionate towards the person that I'm encountering. I'm providing something fake to that person for the sake of maybe seeming like I'm fitting in to culture. So I think that's the limit, which is a very challenging space to operate in.
Thank you so much. Fred?
I like to say that compassion must have limits like everything else in life. And justice and compassion are two issues that sometimes come in conflict with each other. I'd like to read you very briefly this short 1 or 2 paragraphs on the topic of justice, compassion, forgiveness, and compassion in Baha'i law. The laws of religion, meant primarily to elevate the human soul, also have another important function: the advancement and protection of civilization. While a number of laws of Baha'u'llah, most holy book, offer various avenues of compliance with duly established legal systems, for a number of reasons, the abiding rationale for all variable responses would seem to lie in Baha'u'llah's demonstration of the fairness, the justice, and the educative function of law in general. For example, some Baha'i laws involve a minimal standard coupled with a more lofty alternative. The Baha'i writings do make it clear distinctions between an individual's behavior and how society as an institution responds in terms of the delivery of justice. In making this distinction, Abdul Baha clarified the purpose of laws themselves. According to Abdul Baha, the first obligation of the administrators of any community involve securing justice and order. In this context, Baha'u'llah admonished, beware lest through compassion ye neglect to carry out the statutes of the religion of God. Do that which hath been bidden by him who is compassionate and merciful. So we can't go forgiving every trespasser or somebody who breaks societal laws with compassion. We have to think of the principle of justice to protect society. So, for example, when people wanted to stone a woman for committing adultery, and Christ turned and said to them, let the one who hasn't committed a sin be the first stoner of this lady. And I think this is the kind of concept that we need to bear in mind, that individually we forgive, we are compassionate and understanding that individuals sin is just part of our nature. But as a society, the society has to punish people who break the laws, otherwise there will be chaos. So compassion on the individual level is very different from compassion of society. Thank you.
Thank you and very much for your presentations here today. A couple of your speakers in that last response alluded to returning to the rules or the laws or the direction of God, and some very formally and some from the heart too, but directly from the heart. We are in troubled times. We are in troubled times globally. And it seems to be through the media, through this thing, AI, that everyone seems to be enamored with, fake news, lack of compassion, continuing to break laws of compassion against innocent people worldwide. I mean, it's happened forever, but it seems to be a crucial point now. Well, what do we believe? What is our belief system? We use the word religion, which I understand means to realign realign with the laws and realign towards the centre of unity. What's the role, I guess, of all of us as humans to try and counter that? I mean, there was some talk of returning back to the laws more directly to try and counter or understand why there is such disunity and individualism and so on, and power struggles at a superficial level, from finances to being politically in power and whatever. So what are some potential answers or directions that we might be able to follow to come back to love Mother Earth and come back to love each other more deeply, and to continue to exist as peoples, but as also as nature peoples, tree peoples, and insect peoples, and whatever?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your question. What we are going through is a tough phase, definitely. There is no such thing as right news. So we have to take it for granted that whatever messages we are getting is not right to start with. And we have to refer back to what maybe other religions, like for example, Jesus Christ had told, or Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita has told, or in Islam. We have to go to that nth route, but instead of what's happening nowadays is cut paste. So they want your attention, they want your thumbs up, they want your to aggravate the issue. So that is not the point. So this is the good platform where we are sharing our thoughts and thinking for the betterment of humanity. So coming to your question, so what role we can play is continuing engaging with these activities, and always think others as we ourselves, including the animals, nature, everything. Mother Nature has already taken a lot of toll. We are seeing the climate changes and all this climate chaos and humanitarian crisis. So everything. So every day, I think what we can do is be good, do good, and pray for peace. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is very important, what our brother raised, the point. I think the responsibility, I think, is instead of what we're expecting the change, from the leaders, or change from, bigger, number of societies. But if we each and every individual start to first establish peaceful individual within, then that spread within one's own family, make the family, peaceful family, loving, compassionate, respectful, ethical family. Then that, spread to the neighborhoods, then to the states, then to the country. Without each and every individual taking responsibility to behave that way, I think just expecting someone to change, or somebody to be the change, it would be hard. So I think we ourselves, have to take the initiative, whether it's concern of compassionate humanity, compassionate environment, or peaceful humanity, peaceful world. I think everything starts from one individual, every individual. And I believe each and every one of us, whichever religions we follow, the family backgrounds or material status that we may have, I think each and every individual has a full capacity, full potential to able to bring changes to the world in better place, and being oneself peaceful, compassionate, in fact, can be very infectious. And first of all, you yourself, enjoy the benefit. And naturally, even though you may be only one, but that can be so powerful. And we tend to believe wrongly that the negative forces are so powerful, and it almost like maybe more powerful than all the positive, positive values. But in actual fact, the positive values are definitely more powerful. But our human, the mindset, especially in our times, are like very much distracted. Focus more on the negative side, listen more on the negative news, talk more about the negativities, and until we tend to believe that as if there's no positive at all. So I think we have to start from a small. Everybody start to talk about the good qualities of each other. First of all, acknowledge all the good qualities that we ourselves have. We all individually as a human being do a lot of mistakes, but instead of grasping onto that, rather, why not we acknowledge even there may be a few goodness that we have, and start to express to each other that, then I think that will build the environment where everybody start to talk about goodness, everybody only speak and only share the positivities, and world peace, I think, possible in that way, I believe. Thank you.
Quakers talk about an ocean of light and an ocean of darkness. We must focus on the light and not get overwhelmed by the darkness. The founder of Quakers, George Fox, I'm going to read a quote. He was from 1624 to 1691. I also saw that there was an ocean of darkness and death, but an infinite ocean of light and love, which flowed over the ocean of darkness. I told them I lived in the virtue of that life and power that took away all occasion for all wars.
Yeah, so that was a fantastic question. And like Geshe was saying, negative news gets the headlines. So obviously that's going to be promoted more, and that's unfortunate. However, like Manoj was saying, he raised a very good point where things like this need to happen. Conversations need to happen, to, stop the hatred. Like, why should a Hindu hate a Muslim? Why should a Muslim hate a Hindu or whatever, right? But somehow, for example, if I want to learn about quantum physics, I'm not going to go to a chemist, right? But somehow to learn about Islam, I'm going to go to an atheist who hates Islam, right? Or about Hinduism, some other faith who hates Hinduism. And somehow that keeps on happening because that reinforces our hate, and somehow we enjoy that, right? But that is what needs to be avoided, and conversations need to happen. I need to go to a Hindu to learn about Hinduism, not a Muslim, right? So I think that is the biggest thing. And like I said, that's why Potowa Buddhist group did a really important thing by organizing an event like this where conversation between the faiths happen. Yeah.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? No? Yep. Yes, please.
Here's the mic. Sorry. The one commonality that all of you, in my understanding, is that you treat everybody as you would like to be treated. And there is an image that was on the PowerPoint that had that in the corner. And that's where we have our strength. We all smile, we all bleed red. And when it comes down to it, it's a peace of mind, body, and spirit that leads us to be able to go forward and have peace in our lives, which is why the poll says on the side, peace begins with me and you making a difference. At first to ourselves, our attitudes, our behaviours, our belief systems about learning about others, and then to have that peace with others so that we can eventually push that across the world. And the easiest thing to do is to just do a bit of thing. Noticed a lot of people thought that these might be there. But if you have a look at this Rotary Peace Credo, which is on the back of it, it starts with, on one of the other sides that's there, that says, you respect every person, you reject all violence, you reconcile your differences, you resolve your conflict, and then you rejoice in our diversity so that we all are valued and belong in our community. And that is what I think a lot of what we're talking about today is all about. It's about that we are here together. We have to share the planet. We have to share our space. We have to accept that we're different, but we're all very similar as well. It's not the package.
Yeah, thanks for bringing in. And it's good, like the conversation, and it got the wisdom of words. I haven't flicked at it. I was looking at the part of it. So it's good. Thanks for stating it out.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now we have a few minutes. Maybe we can use 2 minutes each to try to share how do you teach and inspire the new generations. Maybe just 2-3 minutes each.
Okay. So my job for 20 over years in sharing what I've learned from Buddhist values, Buddhist philosophy. And yeah, I travel all the time, all over the place, America, Europe, Southeast Asia, Australia. And one thing I always present myself in the expressions of compassion is try to be genuinely, first of all, carry the positive motivation, positive thinking, then try to speak as much as positive possible, and try to illustrate, the qualities in others, whoever comes in my way, and always empower and acknowledge, which Buddhist teaching talks about. Our true nature is pure, full of potential, equal potential, like the Buddha. No one's, begin as a negative person, harmful person, distorted person. Everybody start with pure, innocent, and simply our interaction or discourses very much is to awaken that pre-existing potential and try to remind all the advantage of being positive, being virtuous, and very much promote unity, interconnectivityness, peace, and also many hours of time listen with full respect, and just be a good listener, and just be there for them. And I always regard it's a privilege and blessing if I were invited to visit in a hospital, to pray and dedicate practices to someone who is suffering, or very much. And sometimes you have to go on and on day and night, even getting sleep. And sometimes I about 5 years I stay in one place in Kuala Lumpur, and most of the day I see about 20 people, and very much people come to see me is to point out all the difficulties that they're going on in their life, and yeah, many times I feel helpless because I really want to solve the problem, but I have no ability. But one thing that I can at least like be with them and listen and try to feel from my side, visualizing that I'm in their position. And sometimes we just sit there for hours and cry together. But at the end of the day, whenever the sessions end, people, the feedback, is they feel a bit relief, they feel help. And yeah, very much that's what I do. And I don't go around and just preach Buddhism. Of course, it's based on Buddhist value, but Buddhist values are, I think, very much compatible to anybody. For the other believers, for the non-believers, free thinkers, because Buddhism has it is element of philosophy, it is element of science, it is element of way of life, and it also has element of religious practice. So basically, I can communicate with anybody, and I feel connected to anybody. I feel so close to anybody. If you're coming from Christian, I have a very, very good Christian friends. They brought me to their church. I pray together. I have a good friends from Hindu practitioner. I have very good friend Muslim practitioners. I often visit to Indonesia, and most of my very close friends are the Muslim. And at the end of the day, like someone says that I think it's important to respect others' culture, others' belief. And one of the way to gain respect is really learning their faith, learning their culture. And in fact, ultimately, there's no difference at all. It's fundamentally all is the same. And all is in the service of goodness of the humanity and sentient being. So, and I love, being part of this interfaith conference, and this is one of always the most satisfying. And when I come to Wagga Wagga, and I mean, whenever there's a program in Wagga, and my real excitement starts from there, because I'm not there to ask. They all to organize, because it's not easy to organize. But I'm praying, I'm hoping that there should be one meeting with all the other respected religious faith and the rest of the others. So truly, this is the best thing. And I think we should do more. And doesn't matter how many people there. Just last night, I think the speakers get together and some brothers, sisters are there. I think even that is already fulfilled the purpose. And now coming to a bigger community here, or even much greater, or sometimes just 2 person, two different faiths, just talk, have a tea and have a sharing. It is so beautiful. I would regard this is a huge contribution to the peace and happiness of the world. I think, we don't need to wait the government to organize a religious conference and that can make some changes to the world. No. How wonderful if that happens. Or big religious group, organization, organize interfaith, and maybe that may bring huge changes to the society. If that happened, great, but it's not necessary. We don't have to wait for that. As long as someone ready to organize, and as long as someone from different religious faith ready to accept the invitation and present yourself there, I think you really kind of bring pride to your faith, your community, and huge contribution to the happiness and the peace of the world. So really thumbs up, and I'm really, really happy, truly grateful to each and every one of you, learning so much. And may we have such gathering again and again in future. And also your participants, the audience, if you're facing to us, that's the way the energy comes from. Sometimes, my students ask, how come you can just carry on and on from one place to another place, through year after year? I said, where you get the energy? I say, I get energy from the people who is facing to me. And he said, where you get to rest? I said, when I see them, I feel rested. And that's my happiness. So you bring a lot of happiness to us, and thank you so much. And all the volunteers out there who are working behind the scene to preparing this, and deeply, deeply appreciate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I like to say that what Dick Green talked about, the state of the world and wars, is something that we very much understand. Like to say that we would like to contribute to the betterment of the world. This is the goal of every Baha'i. And one president of Rotary in Wagga had the vision to make Wagga on the world map, to put Wagga on the world map. But now we have this opportunity where we are together, and we have the opportunity to show the world that we are reconciled and deeply love and respect each other. We don't claim monopoly over religion or over truth. So this is the way I see my place today, is in serving Wagga community in any which way I can, to smile, to contribute anything that I can to make this place a special place in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, please. No. But yes, okay, please. Thank you.
It's recording. Hello, is that better? Melanie from Wagga Wagga, and a fairly new Quaker member. How many years, Michael? 3 or 4? 3 or 4. When I first was thinking about membership, I spoke to Michael, and he said, another year, Melanie. And so I had another year, and then I said, Michael, what about now? And he said, another year, Melanie. And I waited another year, and I thought, I'm not asking Michael. So I became a member. And so religion, can you still hear me? It doesn't sound like that. Religion hasn't been part of my life. Brought up as a Methodist, went to a Sunday school, went to a church school as a day student and a boarder. My parents were very involved in the church. I couldn't connect with it. I couldn't connect with any of the teachings. I didn't want to read the Bible. And I guess I saw humanity rather than piety or examples of what I read. I didn't see it as a growing up person in life. So when I met Quakers, I saw, you know, incredible people everywhere. And I thought, these are the people who live the right way. But guess what? When you have people on a pedestal, what happens? They are only people and they fall. So humanity is what I see and I connect with, I guess. So I don't think religion, but I do think spirituality. And I think I've been a spiritual creature my whole life without knowing it. And I've connected with natural things as well as with people without knowing what I was connecting with. You know, the kookaburra laughs above me and I breathe in his laughter and I feel I'm kookaburra, you know, and I'm walking along the garden and I don't want to tread on the plant, because why would I want to tread on the plant? I wouldn't want the plant to tread on me. So it's very simple, I guess, my spirituality. And being a nurse, what somebody's religion was didn't necessarily help the care of the person. So we were, part of the nursing was that everybody is equal, everybody is important, and we are there, you know, for their betterment. And perhaps that was a really lucky profession for me to get into. I'm just trying to put a bit more of a normal everyday view on things, I guess, because I'm not a lofty reader of books about religion. So we're running, a few of us in Wagga and somebody from Canberra and somebody from Melbourne and somebody from Leeton are holding a deep ecology workshop about how to care for the planet more and what we can do. And we haven't asked their religion either. And we know we have been to one of these workshops ourselves previously, and we've also held one in Wagga. So this is going to be our second one. And it's going to be deep sharing, deep listening, deep learning, a lot of openness. We're going to be open. And I'm just thinking how wonderful it would be to have a peace workshop, a non-religious peace workshop, where we all do the same type of thing. Forget our head stuff and just be our heart and our spirit and come together. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think we are maybe we just can. Thanks everyone. Thank you so much for coming here today. From the bottom of my heart, I just invite you to active listening to each other, empower each other, and I believe we can make this happen. This is a realization, manifestation of how people can come together and share peacefully different point of view, and at the same time you can see how the similarities between different beliefs. But I fully agree with you how important is to respect each person's spirituality, yeah, or none sometimes as well. Huh? Okay, yes.
We need learnings, we need books, we need everything that is being offered to us today. And I feel really inspired by all of you. So thank you very much.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. And now we are having some tea and sharing some time.
Yes, I just can hear me. Yeah, I just want to say a special thanks. Special thanks to the support provided by Multicultural Council Wagga Wagga, and also the Rotary Peace Communities. Thank you. Thank you, Pei. Oh, yeah, this is better. Oh, great. So a special thanks to the support provided by Multicultural Council Wagga Wagga, Rotary Peace Communities, Wagga Wagga City Council, and we would like to thank all our faith communities in their support, contribution, and wisdom shared today. The local spiritual assembly of Bahá'ís of Wagga Wagga, thank you. Potawa Buddhist group, thank you, Geshe. Catholic Diocese of Wagga Wagga, thank you, Stina. Sai Wagga, Manoj, thank you. Komigan, Aayan, thank you. The Religious Society of Friends Wagga meeting, thank you, Michael. Wagga Wagga Sikh community, Manjinder, thank you. And thank you, Fred, as well. And this was all possible because of all your contributions. So thank you all to the audience online, as well as sitting here in present, and Esteban. Thank you for our lovely moderator.
I think you can see clearly that you don't need a moderator. You know, that's it. I think we reached a good point in which we can move forward without moderators.
I just want to add about moderator. Like I got a call from moderator not now, but 6-7 months ago, asking that someone in the raft base or somewhere he's looking after, or there wasn't a book for Bhagavad Gita or anything, so that others can use, because every soul wants something to aspire, like either could be nature or could be peace or something. But he reached out to me and got that. So that's the kind of connection we need to make. Yeah, we need to, if you want to do good, don't hesitate. Thank you.
Thank you. As a token of appreciation to our panel, I would like to invite Don from the spiritual program coordinator of Potawa Buddhist group to present the gifts to our moderator and panel speakers. And please give your biggest round of applause, starting with B for Baha'i, the local spiritual assembly of Baha'is, Fred. Camera's there. Camera is over there. I'll stand here. B for Buddhism, Potawa Buddhist group, Geshe. In the right order, I'm learning my ABCs, as you can tell. C for Christianity, Catholic Diocese of Wagga Wagga, Stina. Manoj G, H for Hinduism, it's Sai Wagga Wagga. Oops. Esteban Monti, lovely moderator. Thank you. From Sai Wagga, Manoj G. For Aayan, for Islam. Thank you. From the Religious Society of Friends, Wagga meeting, to Michael, from the Quakers. From the Wagga Sikh community, Manjinder ji. And a massive round of applause for all the speakers. Give a pat on your back. And all the volunteers, Kay, and the audience, Dinesh, Pat, Jigme, Chu. Thank you. There's tea and coffee and light refreshments. There's also some pamphlets from Christianity and Quakers. And last but not least, is someone here from the Mika Hub, because all donations from the calendar will actually go to Mika Hub. We have been collecting quite a bit of donation. And yeah, so if you would like to purchase a calendar, it's $10. And yeah, last but not least, can we have all the moderator and the panel speakers meet at the door of the entrance for a photo for the piece? And to everyone, please stay, chit chat, enjoy the refreshments, and let's keep the dialogue on. May peace be with you and me and everyone else. Thank you.